Well, another match where PSG take the scalp of an English opponent, but it's still close. This is not over yet. What's up, everyone? Welcome to UCL this week once again. And as per usual, in the intro, I have no idea what happened in the second match. Oh, a cinematic experience. Just like you have no idea which kit this is, but you know it's nice. And it's another one from our friends over at Sangalo who are making my kit collection just unbelievable. This one is from Bexton Active Youth Squad, or Bays FC from St. Lucia, another club that Sangalo has sponsored to design and produce the kit for them, providing them with the ability to sell their kits to local support as well as internationally to kit collectors like you and I, and in turn, helping grow the game in underserved communities globally. So if you believe in what Sangalo are doing to grow Caribbean football, Southeast Asian football, football on Pacific Islands, Africa, wherever, use my link below to shop for the most unique kits in the world that you won't find anywhere else, and use the code RBTV at the checkout for 10% off. Before you could even breathe in this one, PSG were ahead. They wanted to silence the crowd early. Dembele found his form once again and banked one in off the post past David Raya. Kvaratskhelia had Timber on strings in this game, didn't he? I think the referee was correct to not give a foul for this moment where Timber's arm went across Kvara's body and then he moved it immediately again, went down for the penalty. I mean, we've all seen that given, right? And if it was, I mean, I wouldn't love it, but I would get it, as you are forcing a decision out of the referee when you put your arm across a player to try to stop them. Kvara certainly went down easy, which is why I'm more okay with it not being a penalty, but we've seen those given, boys, haven't we? However, Timber should have got a yellow for chopping Kvara down shortly after. No yellow there. Okay, well, he kicked him again shortly after that and still didn't get a yellow. Very lucky boy. Hakimi had a similar moment where he had a talking to and then a foul after. He got a yellow. And then he was a lucky boy in the second half with a couple of fouls. Even when Desiree Doué and Kvaratskhelia swapped flanks, Doué was still causing issues to Timber, who forced a really good save from David Raya before Ruiz hit the post with the rebound, but he was offside anyway. And these wide areas were really hurting Arsenal, who after 30 minutes had zero control of the game. Just like the PSG supporters were winning in the stands, PSG were cutting their way through Arsenal and had an answer to almost every attempt from Arsenal when they tried to attack. As I said in the preview, the loss of Partey for the first leg was going to be massive. The lack of control that Arsenal had in the midfield bled into this match as a whole in the early exchanges as Vitinha and João Neves were running the middle of the park. Merino had difficulty really affecting this match in the midfield. The biggest moment he had, he was second to the ball in the box after João Neves, despite calls for a penalty again. For me, I think the referee got this one right again, just as he did at the other end. João Neves clearly gets to the ball first, then Merino kicks him and goes down. Referee on it at this point, in my opinion. And at this point, Arsenal started to come alive in the attack, all thanks to Bukayo Saka. But it was Martinelli who forced a big save out of Gigio Donnarumma. Yet another moment in which Donnarumma is justifying his wages, so to speak. The man made some huge saves against Aston Villa in the second leg, and that was another big one away to Arsenal. Also, another man justifying his wages and then some, Lewis Skelly. That kid is unbelievable. PSG didn't find much joy at all attacking down his flank in the first half. Most of their joy in the attack was on Timber's side, but even he tightened up towards the end of that first half. Timber got better. But again, Lewis Skelly and Kivior are absolutely massive for Arsenal. Saliba would later have an unbelievable goal-saving tackle in the second half after Dembele played a nice through ball. So as we spoke about in the preview, defense being Arsenal's strongest asset once again. So yeah, the first half saw PSG shell shock Arsenal. They could have had more than one goal. They dominated Arsenal like few have at the Emirates for a good 20-25 minutes, whereas around the 30-minute mark, Arsenal started to play a lot better. And close calls stopped by João Neves and Donnarumma overall. Pretty good half, honestly. That first half was entertaining. Similarly to how PSG scored right at the beginning of the first half, Arsenal did in the second. Great delivery from Rice. Merino was able to head it in, looked off, was off. Unfortunate for Arsenal, that was a brilliant delivery from Rice and a well-executed free kick routine. Donnarumma, another massive save. And at this point, it's really safe to say that he is one of the best, if not the best shot stopper in Europe at this moment when it comes to form, right? He's absolutely outstanding at the moment. Two unbelievable saves from close range in this game against Martinelli and Trossard, and we were only an hour into it. But I gotta say, I love watching Barcola play, but he had 2 glorious chances in the second half and he blew them both. The first one, he took a poor touch to set himself for a shot and tried to cut it back to João Neves. Okay, whatever, not the worst. He still was able to set up a teammate despite squandering his own chance to hit it at goal. But the second one, oh my God. Played through by Gonçalo Ramos and he rolled it wide with a pitiful finish. To be fair, Gonçalo Ramos blew a chance as well. Amazing touch to control it, and then he tried to poke it. Interesting choice and hit the crossbar. You absolutely must bury chances like this in these competitions against a side like Arsenal that can score goals. This is the thing that is frustrating with PSG. They create so many great chances. They just have some issues finishing them off at times. They're very streaky in their finishing, and even so, they do still end up winning a ton of matches because they create so many chances. But it seems like players panic in front of goal. Imagine if they were cleaner with their finishing. They'd win matches 8-1 all the time. So both teams could have scored more if it wasn't for Donnarumma and his saves, Raya making a couple of good ones in the first half, and PSG just otherwise being wasteful in the second half, as they were against Aston Villa in the second half. But 1-0 is the final in the end, and I think that that's the right score. PSG really controlled the match in the second half, moved the ball around brilliantly, Arsenal chasing shadows at times, but both teams would strike out and threaten to score, but ultimately failed to do so. And ultimately, it was the man who would go off injured who was the only one to take a chance. Kind of looked like he scuffed it, but a goal's a goal, right? But that's a big problem for PSG. Ousmane Dembélé, after missing a match recently, domestically as well, going off injured in this one is not a good sign. He causes so much havoc and confusion for opposing defenses because sometimes he's making a run in behind, sometimes he's dropping short, sometimes he'll pop up on the right flank. I mean, he's a nightmare. And if he doesn't make the match next Wednesday, it's going to be a big miss, won't it? For Arsenal, they will have a tough task going away to Paris. As if you thought PSG's control of this match was impressive, they are typically far better at home, as it's a hostile environment to step into for opposing teams. I do just wonder, the fact that PSG could have been 3-0 up and squandered those chances, will that hurt them? I mean, the most likely scenario is that Arsenal is going to have to chase this result, and it will lead to more and more chances for PSG in the other direction, as it always does. That's most likely, but we'll see. Really looking forward to the second leg, man. Here's a weird start to this part. I gotta say, my most disliked video in the last few years was my semifinal preview video, which is always funny to me because for me to get upset about a random person's prediction on the internet, it just wouldn't happen. I wouldn't let that get to me, which, I mean, I don't care about the dislikes, but I had to go into the comments to see why. Like, how had I failed you guys so badly? What did I do? People constantly conflate what I think could happen with what I want to happen, which is always also funny to me. All it is me, as someone who watches all leagues, providing what I think could, keyword being could happen, based on what I've seen so far. Hey fellas, Adrian stepping in here. Not editor Adrian, actual Adrian stepping in here once again because I was, as I'm going through this, I had some more thoughts like dislikes and people insulting me. Don't care about that because as soon as someone goes straight to insulting you, I mean, you know that they have absolutely zero to add to the conversation, right? Like they have 0 points to make, so they just jump to insulting you. So I ignore those people. Those aren't the people that I'm talking about. Even though it was weird to see some like longtime subscribers, like 3 to 5 years, saying things like, oh, Adrian's changed, he's so biased now, I can't stand this anymore, things along that kind of lines. I'm making this same sort of preview prediction type videos that I've been making for years. Because like, argue with my actual points that I'm making. Tell me why Barca's left side won't be a problem. Tell me why Arsenal's defense will be able to handle the dynamism of PSG's attack and the rapidity of their attack getting in behind. Disagree with me there. Give me a reason why instead of just, oh, well, I don't know, but I don't like what you said, so you're biased. Well, I don't want to hear someone outside of my fan base speak about my team like this, so you're biased. Because to me, with love, crying bias like that is such a pitiful cop-out answer to anything, whether that's in real life or talking about sports. Because guys, here's my main point here. No matter who you are watching or listening to, take the tinfoil hat off about some hidden agendas that aren't there In my case, at least, I can say that. And listen to the entirety of what people are saying instead of picking out the bits that fit your conspiracies about being secret fans of rival clubs and stuff. Take things at face value. Granted, this is just kind of how the world is these days. Always a secret meaning, a conspiracy. Real Madrid supporters say I'm a secret Barca fan. Barca supporters say I'm a secret Real Madrid fan. When I was saying that Liverpool was the best team in the league phase and the team to beat, I had a bias toward English teams. Now, when I predict Arsenal could go out, I hate all English teams. You know, it's just truly wacky stuff. Because when you start getting into that kind of thinking, that kind of conspiracy thinking, you distract yourself from the point and miss out on things that people are saying, things that I brought up, like the biggest part of my analysis for this matchup between Inter and Barcelona, the left side of Barcelona's defense being a huge issue and an area for Inter to exploit, especially if Dumfries was back in time. And it was that side of the pitch that saw a whipped ball into Thuram and a clean flicked finish past Szczęsny just under a minute into the game. Danger area for Barcelona, strong area for Inter. Well, I still think their left side is stronger, but don't sleep on Dumfries these days, man. What a match from him. After that goal, though, the game kind of settled into what you would expect, right? Inter sitting a bit deeper so that Barcelona wouldn't find any opportunities to get in behind and picking their moments to go forward. Barcelona, naturally, looked dangerous through Yamal, though he didn't have many opportunities, at least in the first early exchanges, because like I said again in the preview, Bastoni, Di Marco, and Mkhitaryan were doing well to triple up on him at times. But more on that in a bit, because again, Dumfries was causing issues, but not at all how I expected. From a corner, a nice little bicycle kick, after Acerbi's header to make it a short-lived 2-0, because as mentioned, Yamal had his say in this match. Previously, Inter had done well to double up or triple up on him. But once he had an opportunity to go one-on-one, he beat a couple of players and hit his signature curling left-footed strike in off of the post in what was his 100th match with the club as well. The quality of this kid is just ridiculous, and he nearly did it again minutes later, but hit the bar. Super Saiyan with that bleached hair. Now, Barcelona had arrived. Yamal had, at least. He was carrying the attack at the moment, but Barca's midfield was putting in a good shift to take control of this game, take it away from Inter. One of those midfielders, Pedri, the best in the world, I would say, would play a brilliant ball to Rafinha at the back post, whose perfectly cushioned header saw Ferran finish past Jan Sommer. Easy, easy, easy for them, dissecting Inter's back line, but Bisek and Acerbi with some shame on their name with that sleepy defending. And the momentum shift was drastic, Inter having difficulty to retain the ball. Every now and then you would see Lautaro and Thuram make that run in behind, but the Inter players just couldn't ever find them. Part of this is down to the Inter players looking like they had no legs, man. Di Marco in particular was looking finished after 25 minutes, which only encouraged Yamal further, right? Which I know he doesn't need any encouraging, given he's probably the best right winger in the world at this moment at just 17. After Inter were absolutely hanging on for dear life at the end of the first half, things leveled out a bit in the second, and they were getting on the ball far more, sometimes on Barca's half of the pitch as well, but mostly things were leveled, like I said. Yamal with the danger for Barcelona, Dumfries with the danger for Inter. He was getting in behind and scoring again from a corner kick. Clearly a weakness for Barcelona, as Çalhanoğlu's delivery was perfect. Dumfries' header into Olmo's back, I believe it was, and Inter ahead. But once again, it didn't last because this was an unbelievable match. Really harsh for Rafinha to not get credit for the goal that he absolutely thwacked that thing off the bar, off Sommer's back, and in. Sick strike, and that made it 3-3. What a treat. And we nearly saw Dumfries with the danger once again as he played a brilliant ball in behind Barca's defenders. Mkhitaryan finished past Szczęsny, but literally a toe offside. Just look at how close this was. Dumfries just an absolute demon down the right. Mehrun's Dagon down the right, while Yamal was going blow for blow with him down the other flank. Almost accidentally scored when his mishit strike looped off of the bar towards the end of the match. So 3-3 the final. Inter would have bit your hand off for that result if you had offered it to them prior to the match starting. Barca will perhaps be a little disappointed with this one, but what a game. What a game for us neutrals especially. It was an absolute feast as we had hoped for. Both of the games were great in their own way, but this one, when it comes to unbelievable goals, really, just an absolute treat. Now, a couple of things. If Barcelona get Alejandro Balde back for the second leg, which looks highly likely, then that will be a massive help for them, as that left side was getting absolutely burned up by Denzel Dumfries. as expected. So that will be something to keep an eye on in Milan. Similarly, will Lautaro make it back for that second leg? The other thing, Barcelona's defending from set pieces needs to get a little bit better, as Inter scored twice from them in this match. They scored twice against Bayern from set pieces as well. So that's clearly a huge strength that they have. But they also had some decent passages of play from open play. So, you know, they're not just Stoke City. And Barcelona, everyone knows how dangerous they are from open play, right? Lamine Yamal, just unbelievable. Rafinha looking very good out there as well. So both of the second legs should be incredible. I'm a happy guy because all I wanted was entertaining football, and we got that, didn't we? Thanks as always to those who show up to watch these videos and give your thoughts and support the channel. I appreciate you, and I'll hopefully see you guys next week for more.